an opportunity and spend some time considering and discussing the Book of Abraham. And I don't want to explore it in terms of its interesting history, but mainly I just want to take an opportunity to share a presentation that focuses specific attention on Facsimile 3 from the Book of Abraham and Joseph Smith's interpretation of that document. Now, this is an interesting, in fact, a fascinating topic, both for Latter-day Saints and their critics, because here is an opportunity that presents a chance to compare the prophet's interpretation and understanding of these documents with modern Egyptologists, and to see how closely Joseph Smith comes up with lining up with a contemporary understanding of this based upon what we know to be true regarding ancient Egyptian writings, religion, and practice. The problem with this is that the prophet Joseph Smith, of course, is not trying to reproduce an ancient Egyptian understanding of the text, but rather he is taking and pondering over these Egyptian funerary documents, and through this process he comes up with an interpretation that has a direct meaning and application for Latter-day Saint theology and our understanding of our relationship to deity. Well, most of the criticisms that have been raised against the Book of Abraham by detractors have been really quite silly and really not worth mentioning. The one exception, obvious exception to this particular trend, would be the article "The Breeding Permit of Hor" among the Joseph Smith papyri by Robert Rittner, a very prominent Egyptologist who teaches at the University of Chicago. Rittner's article appeared in the very prominent Journal of Near Eastern Studies, volume 62, in 2003, pages 161 through 180. And I really don't have, as a Latter-day Saint and as a serious student of the ancient Near East, I do not have a problem with Rittner's interpretation. I do have a problem, however, with the language that Rittner uses to describe the Book of Abraham and Joseph's interpretation, because he obviously has an agenda to mock and belittle this book of Scripture. And whether or not someone accepts it as authentic and genuine and spiritually valuable in its nature, the fact of the matter is Latter-day Saints do. And just as it would be inappropriate to go out and for someone to mock the Holy Quran or the Hebrew Bible or whatever sacred text is held by a community, it was inappropriate on Rittner's part, and should not have used the language that he did. So, whereas I do not have a dispute with Rittner's basic interpretation of Facsimile 3, I am going to dispute Rittner on the specific issue that Rittner raises, that the meaning of this document is certain. And that's to quote Rittner's views as expressed in the article. These writings are symbols. All writing reflects a symbolic value, and is very clear. Symbols carry multiple meanings. Simply because Rittner is correct to identify figure 1, for example, as Osiris seated upon a throne, does not mean that when that symbol is transferred, as Joseph does, to Abraham, that it doesn't carry some meaning for Latter-day Saints. It does. Joseph takes this Egyptian document, this Egyptian funerary document that Rittner, of course, interprets correctly, but Joseph takes this document and gives it a new Sitzenleben, a new setting in life for Latter-day Saints to interpret, in connection not only with Abraham's experience as he strives to become a worthy follower of Christ and receive enthronement, but reflects our individual journeys as well. And so it carries great meaning for us. Now, turning back to Rittner's article, when he analyzes Facsimile 3, on page 162, footnote 4, Rittner refers to Joseph's interpretation as a, quote, hopeless translation, and states that the prophet turns the goddess Ma'at, who is figure 4 in the facsimile, into a male prince, which the prophet does, the papyrus owner, who Rittner correctly identifies as the deified Hor, the owner of the papyrus roll, into a waiter, and the black jackal Anubis, who stands behind figure 5, into a Negro slave, which of course is correct. Again, in so doing, the prophet gives this Egyptian document a new Sitz and Leben, or setting in life. Continuing on then with Rittner's analysis, Rittner writes that the scene is well attested. And Rittner is correct. Rittner did not draw attention, and I'm not sure that he has made the link as an Egyptologist, but this standard Egyptian presentation scene ultimately derives from Mesopotamia, from southern Mesopotamia, and the actual homeland, at least from a biblical perspective, of Abraham, which is an interesting idea and connection. The cylinder seals that have influenced this Egyptian drama are the exact same. You see a deified individual who is seated upon the throne. The owner of the cylinder seal will appear as does figure 5 in facsimile number 3, oftentimes with the sacred hand clasp, the one that is portrayed here between the deified whore and Lady Ma'at, and is introduced into the presence of the god who is enthroned. And for us as Latter-day Saints and historians, I guess one of the most interesting examples of this phenomenon that appears in the Near East are the Neo-Sumerian cylinder seals, which show the presentation scene with a human being as the enthroned individual, equivalent to figure number 1 in the Joseph Smith facsimile. A deified king, a king from the Neo-Sumerian time period that is portrayed as a god. Now, all of this is going to come together to assist my interpretation of the facsimiles based upon what the prophet Joseph Smith has to offer and what we know to be true regarding ancient Near Eastern practices and traditions, including those that are found within the Bible. So, again, returning back to Rittner's article, Rittner makes the statement, and this is a lot of fun for me and where I'm going to head with this, but he states that these interpretations that have been offered by Joseph Smith are, quote, uninspired fantasies, and are defended only with the forfeiture of scholarly judgment and credibility, end of quote. Well, so be it from his perspective. However, I am going to defend the interpretation of these texts as scripture, both as a student of the ancient Near East and the Bible and as a believing Latter-day Saint, and in so doing, I have no intention of forfeiting scholarly judgment and credibility, and this derives from the fact that I completely disagree with Rittner's assessment on the point that the meaning, as he states, of this text is certain. Well, one meaning, the meaning that he offers, is certain, but that doesn't mean that it is the only way that this text can be interpreted. And in fact, when we take Joseph's explanation, as he gives it new meaning, and put it into the context of Latter-day Saint theology, I think that this facsimile number 3 just comes alive with theological depth and inspiration.